Welcome to The Thriving Entrepreneur, where high performance and business strategy blend almost as perfectly as crepes and Nutella. Grab your headphones and your favorite flavored latte and tune in weekly as we talk about business, personal development, marketing, mindset, and everything in between. And now, your host, high performance coach, business strategist, and chocolate addict, Yasmin Anel.
Hey Thrivers, welcome to another episode of The Thriving Entrepreneur. This is your host, Yasmin Anel, and I am super excited to be joining with Olivia Charlet today. After growing up all over the world, from Japan, Germany, Austria, all the way to South Africa, Olivia completed a bachelor's in business in Boston and started working in financial services in England. After 3 years of working for someone else, she realized her true passion was inspiring and coaching others to build businesses and lives freely on their terms. Olivia has been running her online coaching business for women entrepreneurs for the past 2 years, and she helps women from all over the world. Olivia is also an international speaker and inspires aspiring business owners to create their own dream lives. So excited to have you here, Olivia. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Yasmin. I'm super excited.
Yeah, I love your energy, like I said in our little pre-chat, and I just love how you show up in the online world. And I just wanted to bring you on here because I want you to be able to share that with the audience. And, you know, the whole idea of being a thriving entrepreneur is really living fully engaged, energized, confident, joyful lives because, you know, why would you be doing this otherwise, right? If you don't want to have that amp up your energy levels and amp up your joy and the way you show up every single day. So I just want you to tell us, like, take us back. How did it start for you? I mean, you know, you said that you were in a corporate job, but I want to hear the backstory. So if you can just kind of catch up us on that.
Yeah. I think the stories are always super interesting because it shows people that it's possible regardless of where they're at right now. So for me personally, like you were saying, I did a bachelor's in business and finance back in Boston in Massachusetts. And I remember at the time, what's really funny is some people say, like, I always knew I'd be an entrepreneur. For me, that was never the case. Like, even though, you know, there was always something about business that seemed kind of exciting, that was not necessarily in the plan. So I remember when I was doing my bachelor's in business, I loved it. I loved to learn. I was excited. It was awesome. I was like, cool, like, I'm going to go through this. I'm going to join a company afterwards and just going to go up the ladder and we'll see, right? And I applied to like 40 different companies and I got into a financial services company in London, and I was in Boston at the time, and I was super excited, and it was a really, really great company, super international, and since I've been in the world, like, that was really important for me. But it's a really interesting thing how, like, for the first year, you know, I'm the kind of person where I will work hard, I will take loads of action, I will get into it and really like put my teeth into stuff and put skin on the game, but like, for some reason, after about a year and a half, I started being like, you know, is this all there is? Like, this feels a little bit flat. And more importantly, I was like, what am I doing for other people? I think that was the biggest thing for me, the biggest issue I had. I was like, this isn't rewarding at all. I'm not making a change in the world. I'm not really using my gifts. I'm not really using my strengths. And I really have that belief around like maximizing your entire potential. And it really got capped like after two years of working there. So after the third year, I was like, enough is enough. I need to get out, but I had no idea what to do. So I quit my job. I did a master's in organizational psychology because I'd always been fascinated by just like psychological disorders and also just motivation, engagement, stress. All of that was really interesting to me.
That's amazing.
Did a coaching qualification, started my first business thinking, you know, I'm just going to give this a shot. And I was excited about it. But it's almost like, I feel like when you start your first business, you also have no idea what you're putting yourself into.
No.
Right? And I was kind of like, okay, we'll see how this goes. And it was a dating events company for global nomads based in London.
Oh, okay.
Over. And so I did that for about 11 months. And I mean, I didn't make much. I practically made like no money from that business, but I learned a lot. I learned a lot about marketing, about building relationships, about sales, about just connecting with others. in that kind of businessy way. And I even got an investment offer at the end. And that was crazy because I didn't expect it. I was like at this party and this person was like, hey, I know about your business. Like, can I invest in your business? And I was like, whoa. And at that time I realized that actually I really needed to be doing coaching, because my true gift is like inspiring and like energizing women to live out their full potential. For me, what's more fun is actually doing it on a business side of things, because I think that's a lot more exciting. And I think often people can then really fulfill their entire passion and purpose.
Yeah.
So I just started doing that. So that's kind of the backstory. And I can't believe it's been 3 years as an entrepreneur now. So it's crazy.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. And I can totally relate to that whole thing of like, I was not into the whole like, oh, I'm going to be an entrepreneur thing either. Like,
right.
I have a teaching background. Before then I was a journalist and never thought I'd be doing this. But like you said, once you discover and, like that, when you're working for someone else, you are working on their terms, and they're limiting you in a way that there's that cap that you can't become your fully best version, because there's all these other expectations that you have to go with, the norm or whatever the company has decreed for you. So I love that. Love that. So now that you're in this, right? What, like when you think of the word thriving, what is it for you? Has there been moments where you just never thought it would be possible? Have you seen glimpses of what thriving is according to your definition? And I'd love to hear that, not just as an entrepreneur, but just as a human being, really, because I want you to kind of consider all areas of your life when you define thriving.
So I think what's really funny, Yasmin, is when I saw the title of your podcast and your interview series, I was like, this is what I live for. When people ask me like, what's kind of your overall purpose, it's to thrive and to maximize my entire potential, but not only that, to help other people thrive and maximize their own potential. And for me, that's not only in like wealth and money, although that's a really big part that plays in, and I help a lot of my clients with that, but it's also around, feeling truly fulfilled on a daily basis. Cause I think it's really easy for people like once a month or once every 6 months to be like, oh my God, amazing. Like I reached this big goal, whether it's in your career or in your business, and be super psyched about it. And then like let it drop down to a very flat sort of day to day. And I guess I have no interest in that. And I've never been interested in that. Like, and people always used to say, or used to ask like, how do you have so much energy and how are you so happy all the time? And it's a choice. It's a choice. Like, I don't want to live like halfway. And I just don't really believe that. I think that people think it's not possible. Like they think, well, it's too difficult to do that on a daily basis. And, and I'm like, well, I just disagree. I disagree fully and completely. I think it is absolutely possible. But I do think there are strategies, there are systems, there's unleashing, which is something that we spoke about before the interview. But so in terms of thriving for me, it's thriving on all the different areas. So not only in your business, but also in your wealth. So around money practices, like how are you doing around that in terms of managing your money? It's thriving in your relationships. Like I am engaged and I'm like madly in love with the person that I live with. And I'm like, and I don't want to be like settling for any of the other areas in my health. Like I work out 5 times a week. Again, it's just one of those things.
Give me 5, high five.
Right?
We have so much in common. It's crazy.
Right, exactly. But I think it's this. It's like people think that it's like, why does it have to be one piece? And I think also, what really drives me up the wall is like, it's almost as if sometimes it's frowned upon to be happy all the time. Or it's not even frowned upon. It's just people are kind of like, don't get it. They're kind of like, how are you doing this? Like, what's the secret or something?
Or like, what's wrong with you? Why are you smiling all the time?
That too. And it's like, well, I'm sorry, but I guess I'm choosing to design it this way. And when I was really miserable back in my job, I remember the 3rd year of working there, I guess I was just like, I'm not willing to settle for this. I'm not willing to survive. I will only thrive. And even in my business, if that started happening, it's just not even on my thermostat. Like I cannot allow that. Yeah. So that's what I would say around that.
I love it. I love it. I mean, whatever you're saying, I am just like nodding and completely just in awe, because those are very similar teachings of high performance, like a lot of people think, and there's so much rhetoric out there. And one of the reasons why I started this podcast, this movement, is because I'm really sick and tired of hearing the rhetoric of like, screw sleep and do whatever it takes. You know, I get that. Like, I understand about hustling. I'm a hustler. I believe in hard work. I value that. I honor that. But at the same time, if we're not listening to our bodies, if we're not giving it the care, you know, like exercising, for instance, like 5 times a week, right? Eating well, being happy, and doing things that we love, and not be glued to our laptops all day for the sake of, you know, enjoying our laptop lifestyle, it defeats the purpose, you know? So I just love your definition. Thank you so much for sharing that. Now, if it's okay, I want to jump right into your expertise. You know, you're multi-passionate, correct? Can I mark you?
Yeah, you can definitely mark that. Yeah.
Great. Okay. And it's a great thing. So I see you talking about many things, but I feel that mindset happens to be part of your expertise, right? That's something
Absolutely.
You always talk about. So I want to dive into that. Like, how do you develop the mindset of a thriving entrepreneur? How do you empower yourself every single day? Because one of the things you said, and I want to highlight it, is, I choose to be happy. It's about being proactive every single day, right? Some people say, well, how are you so energetic? Well, I choose to be energetic. I generate the energy. How are you so motivated? I generate the motivation. So I want you to take us, like, for someone who's never done mindset work, for someone who might be rolling their eyes when they hear us talking about mindset and like, oh, here we go, woo stuff, tell us a little bit about how it's such an important, integral part of an entrepreneur. And even if you're not an entrepreneur, because I know we have a lot of wannapreneurs or just big visionaries, big dreamers who are listening to us.
So first of all, I think that's so true. And it's really interesting that you asked, like you say, even for people who've never done mindset work before, or who are kind of a bit like, oh, I don't even know if that stuff works. I was kind of like that personally myself, to be honest with you. Like 3 years ago, I didn't even realize that I already had a very good mindset at the time. And I didn't really know what they really meant by mindset. So I think for me personally, what I mean by mindset when I bring that up, or what I see it as, is just the thoughts that you have. Like, just keeping it that simple, the thoughts that you have in your head. And those are potentially based off of the beliefs that you have, which are thoughts that you hold with a lot of certainty. It can be the values that you have. So, if you value freedom or fun or adventure, like, that's going to obviously create the thoughts that you have as well. It could even be the rules that you have, the unconscious rules that you have in your head around what's allowed, what's not allowed, what's good, what's not good, what's successful, what's not successful. So mindset for me is the thoughts that you have in your head. And those can be created by all kinds of different things, like under that, right?
Yeah.
So, and around that, I think it's very simple. Like, I guess if you think about anything you've ever done in your entire life, and obviously I'm not specifically talking to you, Yasmin, because
sure,
you do a lot of mindset, but if you think about anything you've ever done in your life, any decision you've ever made, which has changed, like, I'm guessing that somebody can think about, like, for example, if I think about the decisions that I've made that have changed my entire life, whether for the better or for the worse, whether it was joining the company that I joined, back 6 years ago, I think it was now, leaving the company 3 years later, that decision, starting my first business, that was a really powerful decision, meeting my boyfriend for the first time, that was a big decision. So I think a lot of people can think back in their lives and be like, wow, each one of those decisions made a huge difference in my life. Whether it was a good thing or a bad thing, it had a huge impact and effect. Well, where do your decisions come from? They all come from the thoughts that you have in your head. They don't come from nowhere. And sure, maybe they come from circumstances, like somebody comes into your world by accident, but still you would have to make a decision based off of that person coming in, or that opportunity showing up for you, and so on. So I think, the thoughts that you have in your head dictate the life that you lead, and the decisions that you make, and the results that come from that. And I think what I really didn't realize was how much of an impact it really has. I was a little bit like, no, it's just from action, because I was really fun action. And actually I was like, wait a second, where does the action come from? And I was like, oh, it comes from the thoughts in your head. Like, everything comes from thought in your head. And so I think when people talk about mindset, it makes it a little convoluted, and I would just leave it at your thoughts. And, how are you programming your thoughts, right? And I think some people are like, well, that's not possible. And, like, I know that's not true, because I've coached so many people, and I've seen, shift, like their whole entire life transform, whether it was in relationships, often in their businesses, in their wealth and so on. So I'm like, no, like I've seen it in action, you know? But so I think the big piece is obviously like the thoughts that you have, and then around this programming, right? Because I like to give the example of like a little baby. Like when you're a little baby, you're like 6 months old, you know, come out of your mom's like stomach and you're just brand new. You're brand new and you're like just pure like love and pure just sort of gold, and just like you don't have any values or beliefs around stuff. You don't really even have many thoughts at that time. And so where do your thoughts mostly come from? Or where do your beliefs come from? Where do your values come from? Where does all of that programming start happening, right? To then make different decisions later on in your life. Well, they come from your parents making comments about money. They come from your sister saying something about relationships. They come from your mom saying something about love and what love means. They come from your, you know, your classmates saying something about, you know, creating success, whatever it might be. And then you start absorbing all of that like a freaking sponge, and that becomes your programming. And so you live through that. And those are the thoughts that then exist now as an adult. And I guess around mindset work, it's simply reprogramming all of that thought process and the beliefs and the values and the rules that you have in your head.
Love it. Love the definition. Love the process. Now, if someone were to ask you like, okay, Olivia, I get it. Like, I understand that it is possible to reprogram my mind, you know, like now that we've gotten that, you know, like that convinced about it, how can we do it? Like, what is it that you do on a day-to-day basis to keep it up? Because I know personally, if I don't do my mindset work, no matter how amazingly energized and motivated and confident I am, if I lack doing that, it can really, really get me. So I want us to, you know, for someone who's never done it, like they have no clue where to start.
Yeah.
Tell them, hold them by the hand and guide them on the mindset work.
Okay, cool. So I think, first of all, what I'll always preface this with is like, there are so many different tools and different ways around it, right? But the way that I have started really loving to do it on a daily basis is taking out like a pen and paper. So like literally taking out a pen and paper and writing out your absolute, the sun's coming out. Writing out your absolute dream vision. So literally exactly what you'd love to have. If you had a paintbrush and you could literally paint your entire life exactly the way you want it, your business, the money that you're making, the clients that you have, the visibility that you have, the relationship that you have, the body that you want, everything. And you were to completely and utterly release the how, not even question like, okay, well, wait a second, like how is this even gonna work? Or I'm not good enough, or I don't have the skills for that, or I don't have the experience, or I don't even have the connections for that. Releasing all of the how, and deciding to just leave it on the side for a second and allowing yourself to really dream and just imagine anything that you want, as far-fetched as you can possibly go. And you write it out as if it's already happened. By doing this, you're already helping like your subconscious mind and your mind start imagining a different world for yourself. And sometimes, you know, personally for me, I guess I'm always looking to get to the next level. So it's not necessarily that you're saying, oh, I'm not happy now, but it's, I want to expand even further. I want to impact more people. I want to make a bigger difference, and I want to experience life to an even fuller degree. So once you've written out your absolute dream picture as if it's already happening, so saying things like, I'm super excited because now I'm traveling all over the world, speaking on stages of 10,000s of people. I'm touring around, like, you know, sharing my book and doing book readings, and you're talking as if it's already happening. And you really allow yourself to get into the feelings, so to get excited, to get your energy up, to feel into it, and allow yourself. And sometimes it's uncomfortable for some people because they don't really and so they're like, oh, I don't, you know, is this okay? Yes, it's okay. You can allow yourself to feel that. And I would even triple the feeling. Once you've done that, I would recommend to go into, okay, what would be the version of me who would be creating this world, right? Like, who would I need to become to create this? And you might realize, wow, well, I would need to become somebody who has better daily habits. I would need to become somebody who actually works out 5 times a week so I have the energy to create those results. I would need to be the kind of person who's an extrovert, who actually, even if you're an introvert, to actually put yourself out there, to spend time networking. And you just keep describing, like, who would I need to become to create this dream reality? So you write that. And then your next question would be to ask yourself, what would I need to believe about myself to create these results? What would I need to believe about sales? What would I need to believe about money? what would I need to believe about business, about clients, about relationships, and just writing out what are the beliefs you would need to have. And so if at the first it's a little bit hard to just say, I believe that money is really easy to come by. I believe that large amounts of money comes to me every day. I believe that, I always meet the right people. I always come across the best opportunities. If that's if that's too far a gap from where you're at now, you can change it to, I choose to believe. Because that allows your subconscious mind to stop freaking out and to realize to be like, okay, I choose to believe. I can't choose to believe that. After it might take a little time to get to the point where you actually believe it. So you say, I choose to believe this, I choose to believe that, and you write it out. And it's again getting into the feelings. That's where usually people stop. And I think that's actually one of the major reasons why people don't get the results that they want. They stop there. And instead, after that, it's asking yourself, okay, so if I'm truly stepping into this person, I'm truly believing these different things, and I'm truly believing that this can happen, this dream reality, what steps can I take today? What actions can I take today to create these results? And I think that if you do that on a daily basis, stuff will shift if you obviously take the action. I think some people just sort of get to a certain level and then they don't cross over to the action step. And then they're like, well, why isn't it working? Well, it's well, you didn't link up to action, right?
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned that because you could be doing all this visualization, all the affirmations, all the mindset work, but if you don't take freaking action, nothing's going to change. Nothing is going to move. Right. And I see that a lot with one of the things that I do as a high performance coach, I actually have an application process because, I have to go through applications to see the mindset of the person. And of course we can work on it, but I love to choose people who from the get-go believe that they can get to that next level. That they know that they have what it takes, but they just need that challenge, that push, that, someone to, cheer them on and someone to, really challenge them and say, hey, you got to be doing this. And so it's amazing that you're mentioning that. So love it. But one thing that I want to ask, and this is probably, we can conclude the whole mindset thing on this, is on a day-to-day basis, it's great to be doing all of this, what you've mentioned, but do they do it on a day-to-day basis? Because I know a lot of people will be like, well, how long is that going to take? I can't spend an hour every day doing this. So do you have a short practice that even if it's 10, 15 minutes a day that they could do every single morning or evening to kind of re-energize themselves, when it comes to that mental stamina?
So already, if the kind of person is the person who's going to say something like that, they're like, you're not my person. And the reason I say that is because, I think after it's experimenting and seeing if it works, but if you're not willing, it's kind of to get more toned and to build strength in your body, you need to be working out. If you worked out once a week, even if you worked out for an hour and a half, it just wouldn't do the trick, and it just wouldn't really be powerful, and you'd be okay, but you wouldn't be super toned. And it's the same thing with your mind. If you are not willing to put in 45 minutes in the day with it, I'm kind of well, I'm sorry, but this is what dictates everything that's going to happen for you. So I just, the reason I get on my high horse about this is I feel
I love it. I love it that you're saying 45 minutes because it's great to, I believe in that too. I mean, I like to spend actually an hour journaling. I know it sounds crazy, but I do 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the evening, because if I don't do it, like I said, I'm off. I'm just off. And people would feel it. What's wrong with you?
yeah, exactly. Right. And I feel as well, it's I spent the first probably year, maybe 10 months of my coaching business running around like a headless chicken, seriously. And I'm actually quite I'm the kind of person who's going to learn a lot, who's going to absorb tons. I'm going to work really hard, but I was like a headless chicken. And I think what that avoids by doing the mindset work for, whether it's half an hour or 45 minutes, it's going to avoid that. You're not going to lose all this time doing busy work that's not going to get you anywhere. And I guess I find that that's just really sad, because then you just feel like you're wasting a lot of time. You're not getting what you want. But what I would say is that is a really good question, Yasmin. And to be fair, there are days I was doing an in-person event 2 weekends ago, I was mentioning to you, and those 2 mornings I didn't have an hour in front of me, or I could have had an hour, but I wanted to work out as well. So what I did is I did a kind of condensed version, but over those 15 or 20 minutes, what I did is, it's also, again, it's a choice. I know that sounds really, really basic, and it actually used to kill me when people would say this. I'd be like, oh God, like that's so boring and like so hard to understand. But it is a choice. I think, sometimes I explain this to my one-on-one clients around the fact that there are often two choices. Like there's two versions of ourselves. There's version A, which is the kind of person who's a little bit doubtful, a little bit scared, a little anxious, a little worried, not sure if she can make it, regardless of what that thing is. Sometimes like doubting herself, whatever, all this stuff. That's version A of ourselves. And we've all got her. Like even coaches, I've had multiple 7-figure business owner coaches who've told me like that they definitely have that version. And then there's version B. She's determined, she's strong, she's committed. If an obstacle shows up, she doesn't focus on the problem, she focuses on the solution. She's always ready to go all in. She's fully committed. And anytime her mind switches to a little bit of doubt, she shifts her way like right back out. And I think there is that choice. If you can notice it with yourself, oh, I'm in version A right now. I'm not really enjoying this person. And you can choose to shift into version B of yourself. And we all have her, because I think a lot of people are like, but I've got these doubts. I'm like, yes, every single human being has those doubts. Like you must have the same thing.
Of course.
So many very successful people, whether they're already making, $6,000, $7,000 a month in their business, even them, they're like, Olivia, like I have these doubts, like maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I can't do it, maybe it's not possible for me. We all have those doubts. Yeah. And I think it comes back to the same thing, like what are you willing to settle for, like, and also what are you willing to bring to the table? It's a choice, and you are letting yourself be in version A. I mean, I do it sometimes. And I'm like, what am I doing in here? She's annoying. Like, so yeah, that's what I would say.
So kind of like flipping the switch, right?
Flipping the switch.
Right? That would be it. Like realizing what you're doing and just be like, no, that's not how it's going to be. This is not how today is going to end. And then just flipping the switch and getting into that best version of yourself. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Olivia. You have shared such great wisdom and just your energy. I'm sure people, even if they're just listening, not watching it on YouTube, they're going to be amazed by this, by your presence. So thank you so much for being here. Tell us where Thrivers can find you.
Yeah, sure. So the best place is probably on my website under oliviacharlet.com. That's spelled CHARLET. And you've got a 4-part free video masterclass on there on how to unleash further, how to make more money, how to like really get out there, which is awesome. And I love it. Because I remember that was the biggest shift for me on my side. So yeah, the best place is probably on my website under oliviacharlet.com.
Okay, great. And also we're going to be putting everything, of course, in the show notes, but you also have a membership site, correct? So that would be a great thing for people to join.
Absolutely. So I've got a monthly membership tribe, and that's something that people can really join easily. It's $117 a month, which makes it very accessible. And you get 2 really powerful in-person live training a month. And so like the really cool thing about the tribe is you get my level of energy, my level of coaching, my level of like momentum. And that obviously creates some pretty crazy results in the tribe.
That's awesome.
That's obviously
so this is actual it's not just like videos, you're there live with them.
Oh, sorry. So by live, I meant on Zoom. So it's okay. They can see me. It's a video training, and I can actually they can ask me questions at the end, and it's a really powerful way to actually get awesome. To get supported. Yeah,
that's awesome. Thank you so much, Olivia.
You are so welcome, Yasmin. It's such a pleasure.
And Thrivers, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of The Thriving Entrepreneur. Until the next episode, live on purpose, focus on what truly matters, and keep thriving.
Thank you for tuning in. Join our Facebook group by typing The Thriving Entrepreneur in the search box. And connect with Yasmin at yasmininal.com. That's YASEMININAL.com. Till next time, keep thriving.